Thank you for your service. We hear it often, occasionally followed by, I could never do what you do. I don't know how you do it. I find this recognition humbling. My flustered response is often, thank you for your support. This exchange brings awareness that people recognize the sacrifice of military service, but they don't understand how someone can place their life at risk for others. Understanding comes from another question, one most frequently asked not by strangers, but by those that are closest to you. That question is, why? Why do you serve? My why has been an evolutionary journey, one impacted by my perception of other people's why and shaped by their actions and inactions. I would love to tell you that I initially joined the military for the distinctive purpose of honor and service to my country. The admirable, selfless endeavor that it is, my foray into service began much differently. It was a bright, sunny day in April, many moons ago, 2 months before graduation, high school graduation, let me clarify. I was still weighing my options, uncertain of my answer to that timeless question of all teenagers, what do I want to be when I grow up? I wanted to go to college, but my parents were either not able or willing to fund my education. They had not attended. Coming home after school that day, I entered our back door and I stopped, dead in my tracks. A voice greeted my confused expression. Hi, I'm Sergeant Williams. Your mother asked me to talk to you about joining the Army. Let me say, words cannot express the surging range of emotions that I felt in the awkward silence that followed. Glancing at my mother, sitting at the dining room table, her legs and arms crossed, looking very nonchalant, she directed my attention back with a nod towards a strange man in his starched dress uniform. My father maintained his usual perch on the radiator, looking on with a grim and rather disapproving look on his face. His gaze did not meet my eyes. As typical, he deferred to my mother, especially when it came to me. Join the Army? What? We had zero history of military service. I had not even considered it. My mom, she didn't explain why she invited Staff Sergeant Williams to the house. She left it to my imagination. My perception of her message in that moment was, get the hell out. I listened, a bit in shock, to this skilled recruiter talk to me about the plethora of options and benefits available through the Army. Despite the pleas of my father over the next few weeks not to enlist, on the 23rd of April, I signed a 3-year enlistment, lured in by the Army College Fund and influenced by my belief that my mom wanted me gone. The price tag? 3 years of my life, beginning with basic training report date in June, 3 short weeks after graduation. Now you might wonder at my reaction, or perhaps think, wow, you must have been one terrible kid. You can laugh, it's okay. That wasn't it at all. See, my relationship with my mother was at best described strained, to say the least. Despite your initial thoughts, I was not a troubled teen, involved with destructive behaviors, running around, drinking, involved with drugs. I was in the top 10% of my graduating class. I never went anywhere. I wasn't allowed to. My life was very restricted, prohibited from participating in any after-school activities, leaving the house except for school or directed errands, having any friends over, going to their house, or even talking on the phone. I grew up on the fringes of our small community because of the restrictions and other people's perceptions of my 70s wardrobe in the early 90s. I had few friends, the ridicule of my classmates turning books into my preferred companions. I do not pretend for one moment that I was a perfect child. I had the usual teenage angst intensified by the restrictive conditions. The reason for the strained relationship, and my perception of my mother's actions goes much deeper. You see, my mother endured a challenging childhood, defined by several factors that are not mine to share with you. I will simply note that they are ones that we hope we and our children will never know. She had few friends and a very poor relationship with her 4 sisters. Her challenges were not over. A member of a respected local family, grounded in strict Christian principles, she found herself unmarried and pregnant just before her 17th birthday. Her parents, against their spoken values and beliefs, insisted that she get an abortion, not wanting that stain upon the family honor. She refused, believing that the child was not to blame, believing in possibility, and thinking about more than just herself. Despite being shunned by her family, the community, she graduated from high school, giving birth to a child just after. She did so alone. No one was present with her. Within the next year, she met and married a man that accepted her, challenges and all. He adopted her child. Her husband provided safety, security, and an unconditional love she had never received before. He became her why, her purpose for living. They would have 2 more children together within the first 6 years of their marriage. Her ability to preserve her new life became critical, and she protected it with the ferocity of a lioness protecting her cubs. That child, the one born in the face of adversity, was me. I was 8 when I found out that I was adopted and that the dad I did and still call Dad was not my biological father, who had died the month I was born, and told the circumstances. I was initially too young to fully understand, but as I grew older, I became appalled by how Mom was treated by others, especially those closest to her. I was disturbed by people's deeper concern about themselves when faced with hardship. The actions and inactions of those around her had left deep scars, shaped Mom's view of the world, and drove her focus toward preservation of a relationship and life with my father. Fear of loss affected her empathy and behavior towards me. My mom treated me differently than she did my brothers. She was distant. I tried, but struggled to understand why. Why she didn't want me to touch her. Her short tone, her avoidance, the lack of conversation. I tried to understand, but remained hurt by her treatment. My dad saw this, but did not want to hurt my mother or cause her stress by addressing it directly. He tried to compensate, but still deferred all decisions to her. I often heard my dad say, "I love you," but never my mother. I was a reminder of her past, the negative emotions and conflict. My relationship with my father grew and became one she saw as a threat to her rock, her security. The more restrictive my life became, the more intense the difference I noticed between the treatment of my brothers and me. The more intense her dislike appeared in my mind. That day, coming home to the recruiter in my house, all I could see through my perception was that she wanted me gone. She never communicated why she did it, leaving my experience and beliefs to interpret the answer. At that time, I was blind to how her experience, her fear, and her need to maintain her environment drove her actions. What I missed took me years to understand. My initial reason, or why I joined the Army, began as an escape, a new life, an opportunity, but those childhood experiences shaped how I viewed the world. I made a choice. I decided to make every effort to treat people with respect and empathy, to maintain awareness of my actions and weighing their impact to others. I chose to look at the world from a realm of possibility as my mother originally had by taking the hard road. I was not always successful. My own fear, pride, and desires sometimes clouding my awareness. But my outlook enabled empathy, allowing me to establish a reasonable relationship with my mother over time and establish lasting relationships with some of the greatest people I will ever know. My choices established a new reason why I serve. One deepened when I had children of my own, the first during my 4th year of service. I began to look at the world and my service through a broader perspective. I realized the world was larger than myself, and my actions impact not only my relationship with my children, but how they would see the world. My actions or inactions would communicate why I was here, what my purpose was, and shape the future. I could focus on myself, attaining position, power, money, and my family, concerned with raising my children simply to enter society and find their own fortunes. Or I could take what I have learned and endeavor to support change. I saw my military service as a way for me to change those beliefs into possibility, and I hoped reality. I continued to serve, attending college with 2 small children, and became an officer, endeavoring to make a difference. You see, what I have learned is how you communicate why through both words and actions leaves an impact. Your why is supported by how you communicate it. Your actions communicate whether your focus is on your needs or that of others. Not clearly communicating why or clouding your purpose through actions that counter your words leaves your why to be defined by others, open to perception and potentially misinformation. I learned that a why focused on the individual leaves scars, perpetuates conflict, distrust, fear, and bitterness, stifling potential, where a why tied to serving interests greater than oneself has unlimited capacity to spark possibility, support trust, and develop lasting, meaningful relationships. I have also learned that it is not easy. It requires focus, humility, and constant effort. What I have learned has shaped my why. It was a comment that my mother made after I had my 3rd child, a daughter, that hit me, not in that moment, but a little over 2 years ago. It hit me after spending 10 days in hospice with my mother, following 2 months in critical care due to several strokes that left her aware but only able to move her eyes. So many thoughts ran through my head as I talked randomly without response, watching her slowly slip away. I do not remember what I said in my incessant rambling. The only thing I remember is what I may have left unsaid. The day after she died, both the comment she made and my realization of the true why she had the recruiter come to the house hit my consciousness like a bucket of ice water. She said, "You made the right choice when you joined. You are doing things I could never do. Be proud of the example you are setting for your daughter." In that moment, I realized her challenges, understood how her fear of loss affected her understanding and ability to communicate now what I believe to be her true why. She did not call the recruiter because she wanted me gone, but because she wanted me to have more, to have opportunity, and to escape a world that fear and self-interest had shaped for us both. My one regret to this day is not realizing this sooner, removing my chance to thank her for her sacrifices and deepen a relationship clouded by misunderstanding. Through my journey, my why has become to make a difference in the world, to live life with intention in everything I do. Today, 24 years from that momentous day in my parents' kitchen, I find myself a major, continuing to serve my country, believing in my why, impossibility. I continue to serve because I believe in the importance of leaving a lasting positive legacy, not only for our children, but for generations to come. I look at our youth and that of the world, knowing that we are shaping the world that they will inherit, knowing it is bigger than the house they may have, the size of their bank account, the prestige of the college they may attend, the clothes that they wear, or the car they may drive. I believe in the unquestionable value of empathy, communication, and understanding of other people's perceptions and needs. I also believe that our every action or inaction impacts the world around us, like the ripples on a pond from a single drop of rain. With those beliefs in mind, I endeavor to focus on possibility, supported by a positive outlook. My question to you is this: what do you believe? What is your why? I share this with you in the hope you reflect and find your why. Make it more than about just yourself. Live and communicate it clearly, with intention, supported with empathy and humility. Life is finite. If you wait to truly establish and share a meaningful why, you may miss opportunities you can never get back. It is the whys that truly shape our future. Find your why and establish a lasting legacy to shape tomorrow. I leave you with a quote by Albert Pine in the hope that it may help you find your why. What we do for ourselves dies with us. What we do for others and the world remains and is immortal. Thank you for what you do, and for my fellow service members and their families, thank you for your service from one who truly does understand.